Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, call me a race traitor in a PM on Reddit? Let's destroy your life. Manager tries to crack down on dress code, I respond by wearing yoga pants to work. Don't want to pay overtime, but wants overtime. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Call me a race traitor in a PM on Reddit? Let's destroy your life. A few years ago, on a different Reddit account, I mentioned that I was in an interracial relationship. A Redditor reached out to me and told me I was a race traitor and unfaithful to my race. I was like, WTF, bro. I looked at his account, it was 6 years old, which told me his username was likely something he used a lot. So I started Googling his username at Gmail, username at Yahoo, etc., and I found a match with Hotmail. A guy by the name of, let's say, Jeff was selling some NFL game tickets and had posted his email. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's the same person. However, in the post, he mentioned a city in America and that he was a fan of a particular football team. I went through the Reddit user post history. He posted quite a bit in the respective city subreddit. He mentioned going to NFL games, and in another post, he also said he was born in Canada. So through the ad for the NFL ticket, I figured out his real name. I found his biography on his employer's website. He was a senior level manager, so they had a bio for him. In that bio, they mentioned he was born in Canada, was a fan of said NFL team, and loved living in the city. I also found his LinkedIn page during this time. So I sent him a connect request on LinkedIn, which he accepted. I figured he would because he had 500 plus connections. So here's what we know. His username matches his email handle. He likes the NFL team. He lives in a said city that he posts in said city's subreddit. He was born in Canada. I then found his Facebook page. His Facebook page was public, and he posted what I would describe as semi-racist material. Also, his Reddit page was significantly more racist. Based on the numerous connecting factors, I determined, so I create a report. I included screenshots and links and summarized my findings in that report. Now, based on this person's position in his company, he likely had a significant role in deciding who this company employs. Also, his company clearly stated they were an equal opportunity employer. So I called their HR department, I found the number, and I called them, and I asked them, would you be concerned if a senior level manager in your organization was a proud racist and degraded your equal opportunity employment policies? They were concerned. So I told them I had done an investigation into one of their senior level managers and described he was racist, and I had put together all my evidence and findings in a report and could email it over to them. I emailed them the report. A few weeks later, I called to get an update and I was told they appreciated my report, however, they would have to comment on the status of their decision and make public statements in regard. Basically, thanks for letting us know, but we aren't going to tell you shit. That's fine. So I waited another month, and I kept checking his LinkedIn page. Then one day, I saw a LinkedIn post from him in which he said he is looking for a new opportunity and if anyone had any positions open. So I messaged him on Reddit and I told him, hey bro, heard you got fired. Just want you to know I'm the reason why. He threatened to find out who I was, hunt me down, rape my spouse, and strangle me to death. So I reported him to Reddit admins who promptly perma-banned him. Now, he really should have learned his lesson, because guess what, he didn't connect the dots, he didn't know I could see all his LinkedIn activity, he didn't know who I was, he simply acted in rage. So I put his newest message in his folder and added it the report, because you see I can be an incredibly vindictive. I checked his LinkedIn once a week. Good news. He got another job. Bad news, their HR department was also quite easy to get a hold of and discuss their new hire's online racist, threatening behavior. However, let's just say I had a lovely conversation with this HR representative. She was a woman, and based on how she sounded and her name, I suspect she was a woman of color. So yeah. I'm not sure what happened after this, because a few weeks later his internet history was cleaned up, and his LinkedIn page was deleted. However, this company listed their senior management, which was what his position was. I never saw his name listed, smiley face. What I suspect happened is after his HR reviewed my evidence, they terminated his employment with them. I would have totally gone after him a third time, but he got smart the second time around. Hey BTW Jeff, if you see this post, I'd love for you to send me a new message, smiley face. I really enjoyed the little game I played with you. I also question, how did you handle getting fired from 2 jobs back to back on your resume and in future job interviews? Manager tries to crack down on dress code. I respond by wearing yoga pants to work. So I 34M used to work at a popular convenience store, really popular with a cult-like following, chain years ago. I've always been a bit of a clown, but very good at following rules while doing so. After working there a few years and seeing managers come and go, we got in a new woman who was just miserable and really wanted to flex her authority. Shortly after she started, she posted the uniform portion of the handbook in the break room and started complaining about people's attire, but clearly took the biggest issue with girls wearing yoga pants. So me being the petty rule follower, I combed through the policy and noticed some things in the wording. The rules stated that yoga pants are allowed as long as the ankles flared, and there was no gender designation for these articles. Malicious compliance. I and a friend went to Walmart after work and bought me a couple pairs of flared yoga pants. Now mind you, I'm not a huge guy, but I am chubby and have a big beard. I began wearing them almost every day I worked, and especially if she was working. This infuriated her. I would regularly hear her protests and even saw her go to the AGM and GM. Their response was always, "I can't say anything, he's in dress code L." This continued for a month tops before she requested a transfer. But what made it even more fun was trolling weird pervert customers. They would stand at the deli area and gawk at the young ladies working, especially if they were bent over the hot food table. When I would notice this, I would sidle over beside them and give the boys 2 butts to look at before whipping my head around and making eye contact with them. The level of disgust on their faces filled my heart with joy. Don't want to pay overtime, but wants overtime. I've spoken to you many times about the rules on this project, so we do not need to go over this again. You must take any overtime worked during the week on the Friday. You cannot do overtime on the Friday. You cannot negotiate this, we've been over it a million times. I am not interested in discussion. So this is how the discussion with my boss began back when I did support. To give context, this was a 2-year plan of migrating remote sites. It wasn't particularly complicated, but in order to make things smoother, we'd suggested migrating most of their data overnight. This would occur a couple of hours of overtime each week, which the company were not happy having to pay, so they insisted we take time off on the Friday instead. The problem was that 2 hours could easily jump to 4 or 5 if there was a complicated server setup and a lot of data. These were old legacy systems with terrible connections. You had to babysit them and there was zero documentation. 1 week well into the project, the migration at night takes almost 7 hours. I'm in work the follow day, Tuesday, and I'm exhausted, having had about 3 hours sleep. I'm refused the day off as it must be Friday. By Friday, I have recovered and I'm looking forward to my 30-minute working day at this point. I roll in. There's been a ransomware incident at the previous week's site. I'm told to go there and help handle it. So I do. I spent my 30 minutes driving to site, call up my boss, "Hi boss, just clocking off as it's a Friday to take my hours back. Can you send X out here now as it looks like a right mess, see you on Monday?" They quickly organized overtime payments for the remaining 23 weeks the project had to run. FYI, I did get told off on the Monday for my attitude, but there was nothing they could do about it. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.